Welcome everybody
And we're
to this
live.
episode. Damn it, Mystique. All right, here we go. Welcome everybody
I
to
won't
this.
say anything.
Welcome everyone to this episode of the Devs Podcast. I'm your host Atramentum_X, variety streamer and lewdtuber. We are joined today by my co-host Lady Mystique.
Hello. I'm the hooting monster he streams this with.
And today we've assembled a panel of streamers who provide the girlfriend experience. What is the girlfriend experience, you ask? The girlfriend experience is it's a term for adult content, but doesn't necessarily have to be adult content. But it is providing intimacy and actually, you know what? We'll talk more about that definition as we get into it. But these are some of the streamers that responded to a call we put out the other day about like making lewd audio, and I found that there was a commonality among all four of them. So let's do some introductions. We'll start up top with Minxxie, who is our first face cammer on this podcast.
Hi, hello everybody.
Minxxie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Minxxie. I am an Australian Twitch streamer. I primarily use Twitch for gaming. And don't really bring too much of the other side to Twitch for obvious reasons. But I do work on a spicy site where I create audios, post photos, all that kind of stuff. I'm still relatively new to it all. Only started maybe 4 or 5 months ago. So, yeah. Oh,
Thank
and I'm a
you.
face camera, not a VTuber, which is very different than everyone else here.
Yes, we actually adapted this time. We have a little panel up there for you now. It's we could call it the Minxxie corner from now on.
Oh, okay.
any flesh tuber face camera we get on the pod.
It goes in the Minxxie corner.
It goes in the Minxxie corner. Yes. To my immediate right, we've got Eriko Moo.
Moo. Right, a self-introduction. Okay.
Yes.
Well, fun fact, I did spicy content before I was a VTuber, and then I was like, oh, living anime, so became VTuber. And I started as a little PNG, and variety as well. But I realized really fast that I love doing ASMR, so that's primarily what I do, is ASMR with comforting vibes, and then if you want the comforting yet more, can we say erotic?
Yes, you may.
Yeah.
more erotic dreamland part that's on another spicy site, and yeah,
What
and
spicy
create a
site?
lot of role plays.
You can say it's on Fansly. You can say it.
It's on Fansly, yeah. It's on Fansly, although
so
we do some stuff on
traumatized.
YouTube as well.
Yeah, so you can find Eri on YouTube, Patreon, I believe, as well, Fansly, and did I say YouTube? Yes, and Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Eri. And we've got Nanotech.
Hello, I'm Nyano. I'm Cat Girl VTuber. I started streaming in August, and I started doing ASMR as a collab with Ari, who's my wife, on her channel in July. And I also really enjoy doing roleplay audios, both the spicy variety on sites like Patreon and the non-so-spicy variety on YouTube. We have a joint roleplay channel, me and Ari. So yeah, it's super fun.
And soon sound effects. We're working on that part though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing that the two of them do. They actually have a joint channel on YouTube for the girlfriend experience.
Yeah, ASMR girlfriends.
Check it out.
Yeah. Miss Minnie, you're up next.
Hello, chat. My name is Minnie. I am a sexy cutie bunny sensei, a VTuber who is also a lewdtuber. I stream a variety of games, from horror games to Your Choice Matter, and I also create erotic roleplay on Fansly.
Thank you very much, Minnie. And last but not least, let's hear from our co-host, Lady Mystique.
Hey everyone. For those of you who don't know, I am Lady Mystique. I create comfy, cozy content here on Twitch, playing like chilled out, relaxing games like Party Animals, where we scream obscenities at each other and throw each other off cliffs. I also create audio content over on Fansly, and you can check me out at ladymystique.tv if you are interested.
Thank you very much. Lady Mystique is a regular on the podcast as my co-host and brings her knowledge and background in sexology, as well as running communities and various femdom spaces to the podcast. So, I guess to start us off, we'll start off with a very basic question, which is basic on its face, but can potentially be a deeper question when you sort of like delve into it. But I want to ask you all, what is the core appeal of the content that you guys make? Like, why do people come to watch you?
Is it open floor? Or
Open
what do
floor.
we-
Yeah, just jump in.
We're all too polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can start if you like, and we can just kind of, I think, maybe go in the same order we just spoken, since we all seem to kind of like introverted to speak first.
It's true.
Sounds good to me.
Mhm. Yeah. What was the question again?
So,
What's the core appeal of
yeah.
the?
Mhm.
What's the core appeal of the content you make?
So I enjoy, like, why do people come to watch you? I enjoy making the content I make, and I think people come to watch the content I make or purchase the content I make because that need for that intimacy is not necessarily readily available to a lot of people for a variety of reasons, whether it be physical, whether it be mental, what have you. And being able to provide them with that level of intimacy is very fulfilling, and knowing that it can completely make someone's entire day to just hear certain words, feel certain things, is just, it's a very empowering feeling, and it's also a very humbling feeling to know that you can have that kind of effect on somebody. So that's why I like to do what I do, and I think and because I enjoy making people feel that way, I think that's why people enjoy the content I put out, whether it's on Twitch or on my other site. I think people can really pick up on the fact that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So that, I think, creates the appeal.
I think that's a great point, actually. I think when you don't enjoy the content that you make, people can tell. Like, it's always like very
Oh God,
much,
it's true.
Yeah, there have been a couple of times where I've like received tipped prompts on my other site for a certain type of audio video, and wanting the people pleaser I am, I have attempted that said prompt, and I've ended up returning the tip to that person because I could just not convey what they wanted me to, because it was not something I was connecting with. So I did end up refunding that client because I just could not give them what they needed. But
I respect that you gave the money back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
real.
of course. I'm not going to keep money for services not rendered. But I've also have referred clients of mine to other, ASMR artists or other girlfriend experience kind of creators who I feel like could potentially fulfill what they need. So it's not just about trying to hoard hoard them for myself. It's like, oh, okay, I can't do this for you because it's either not something I enjoy, it's something I find triggering, or what have you. However, I know I have some girls who are definitely going to be able to help you here, and I will send them that way if need be.
Weirdly enough, that's not the first time I've heard that on this show. I think I forgot who said it, but like there was someone who like had a feet content specialist and would just send people there, like it was like some kind of podiatrist, but for like foot fetish.
Yeah. Oh, I know a couple.
Yeah,
I know a couple of like foot fetish people. Yeah, for sure. Because I am not. I was a dancer and then a spicy dancer for many years. My feet ain't it. So I can't.
Oh, no.
I can't. I can't help you there, but I know people who can. So.
Faye calls it the specialized interest squad. Exactly.
Call Josephine from the point shop.
But Ari and Nano, I'd like to maybe ask you guys jointly, because you do make content together. Like, what do you think is your core appeal, both as individual creators and like together as well?
There's a couple of different things going on. I mean, initially when I started, like you mentioned, people can tell when you're not having a good time streaming. That's what it was for me in Variety. I at first I was like, oh, this is fun, and then after a while I was like, oh god, I look like a grump. I wasn't having fun at all. Like I was just in a bad mood, and it's usually very obvious when I am. And when I did ASMR again, I was always happy. And I was like, you know what, I'll just do this all the time because I always like it. And but at first it drew me in, and I wanted to make it because I dealt with insomnia. So I really wanted people to be able to sleep. And then I was like, this has an anti-anxiety component. So I was like, this is really comforting, anti-anxiety, decompressing. And then I was like, you know what else makes people tired? Coming. So, or at least me, I'm definitely a fall asleep immediately after.
Yeah, it's just like,
yeah. And so I started not here on Twitch, obviously, because limitations, but I started having more of the mommy comfort kind of feeling here through my ASMR. And when I decided to just go ahead and smash it all together, then it was, you get a combination of help you relax, anti-anxiety, decompress, you're feeling good, erotic fantasy, take what you will out of it depending on what and where we are. Which platform and everything. But then my wife Nano started getting into it, and she was like, she actually didn't even want to do live content initially. She just wanted to do pre-recorded stuff like for Patreon and whatnot. And she started doing that, and then we were talking. She's like, I'll try live, and then we did that.
Yeah.
But the big appeal of people seeing the collab content is that you get two mommies or two whatever. You get two since we do both, but you get two, and I was like, well, that's good. So we ended up having a dual brand, especially through ASMR Girlfriends.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really unique about us is that we offer, like, there's two of us. It's like the fantasy of, you can sit between the two of us and we're all spending time together. And also, I feel like these days, a lot of people are really lonely. People feel really disconnected and alone. And I feel like this kind of content offers the opportunity for people to feel comfy, feel like they belong, and, feel taken care of. So I think that's a really valuable part of it and a big part of the appeal to me.
Yeah, we're not like we're older at this point, and we're not. I'm gonna go out to bars and clubs at this point. We're like, can we just stay in and binge something? We wanted to create that comfy introvert content.
That's reminding me of like Chicago, and like one little jazz murderer is nothing these days, but two.
You're not ready for two.
That's why they team up at the end.
Yeah, it says Faye says in the comments, two for the price of, well, hopefully two, because hope you all deserve money for your work.
Yes.
Exactly.
But it's a lot of fun. Like, we'll record stuff, and then Nana's like, hey, that was hot. I was like, yeah.
That was hot.
It's fun to get to enjoy it together. Yeah, precisely.
Minnie, give me 1 sec. You keep freezing on my screen. I think it's my fault.
You want me to
though.
send you my PNG?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I'll do that. Let me just try one more time to get you back in. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll represent all streaming experiences.
'Cause
Face,
you've got
PNG, and tubers.
Yeah, well, you got a beautiful model, so it would be a shame to not show it off. Okay. I guess we're gonna have to do the PNG. But Minnie, while I'm grabbing your Fugi, why don't you tell us a little bit about your core appeal?
I feel like my core appeal is titties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dude, same.
But on a more serious note, I feel like I talk about self-love and self-care a lot on my streams. And to me, self-care doesn't have to be like an extravagant thing. It could be like, oh, I got out of bed today, I ate something, I brushed my teeth, like simple things like that. Because I know a lot of people struggle like with depression, have a hard time doing those things that may be simple to a lot of us. And also, I feel like my viewers enjoy hearing me scream when I play horror games. And something someone has told me before is that I don't have a lot of energy in my streams, so that can be considered boring.
Wow,
But
that's
yes,
rude.
Nano, you're not alone.
so like I'm trying to like I'm a very introverted person, so I try to put more energy into my content and in my streams.
Right.
And as on the not safe for work side, I just started doing this role play maybe a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted my first 3 audios on Twitter, and that got a lot of traction. And then I just decided, like, oh, I enjoy this a lot, might as well do a fansly. And so
Yeah.
I'm consistently doing fansly now. I'm doing the audios and IRL pics. And people have told me I have a nice voice, so...
Holy shit, that's a sexy PNG. I love it.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Thank you.
I feel like that's always something surprising we hear all the time is like, you're boring. I'm like, go to sleep.
Well, different people like different things. It's like I'm not a screamer. Like this is like what how I talk during even horror games. Like, but people still tell me like, oh yeah, I like your voice. Your voice is calming, soothing, blah blah blah. And I think that's why there's a market for everything.
Yeah.
You're the kind of person I would watch play a horror game because I think when people are shrieking all the time, I jump. So like if they're just being like, whoa, the whole time, that's fine.
Wow.
Wow. It's calming, but like I can enjoy it too and not like jump out of my skin.
Well, there is a lot of scope for capitalizing on people's sadism.
Oh yeah.
And wanting to watch other people be scared and like be that buffer in between like yourself and the horror game, so you can still experience it, but like get to have a laugh at the person playing it at the same time. Kind of it takes the sting out of it.
Oh yeah, way better than playing it on your own, like in a dark room.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm like shielding my mic, hoping that you don't hear a dog barking. I look like I'm whispering into it.
That would have honestly, that would be the least scuffed thing that has happened this
least scuffed
evening.
thing that would happen today. And we've had like kids walking around, dogs barking, cats meowing on this podcast. It's all good. People got diverse in their lives. But yeah, I did. So Minxxie did touch on this, but I want to sort of want to circle back to it. Why do people seek out the girlfriend experience, do you think?
Yeah. Well, I develop a lot of rapport and connections with my like regulars, like as I assume, like I'm gonna assume most of us do, because yes, it's a business transaction, and I guess that is part of our end of the bargain, if you will. But it's also because it's a kind of a difficult question to answer, because I don't really want to generalize people, because obviously everyone's experience is different. But in my personal experience, the people who have sought me out, I have a few physically disabled regular clients. I have a couple with very severe one of my best and most favorite clients is severely agoraphobic, and has very intense, severe social anxiety. Social anxiety is, again, a very broad term that covers a lot of kind of different aspects, but I find that most of my clientele reach out to me that way because they feel like they have no other way and no other choice, which, I guess kind of just unfortunately speaks on society as a whole, that they feel like they have literally no other choice. And that's why they seek out, you know, people who offer services like we do, which is sad. It breaks my heart, but it is unfortunately how kind of cruel the world can be to people like that. And I'm very happy that I can offer them a kind of solace, a kind of safe space where they can receive the intimacy that they need, that everyone deserves, and it's a non-judgmental, very safe space.
I'm really glad to hear that.
I'm such a pretty green box. Look at me.
I know. I'm like struggling in the corner here. Like every time I click something, like something else happens. Like Mystique has disappeared now too.
It's okay. You guys are the important people. Focus on them.
Bro,
I'll just be a voice.
I'll work on fixing this, but
I'll be the creeper.
Do you want me to pick up the next part?
yes,
Mhm.
please.
Yeah,
you work in the
yeah.
corner. Okay. I can speak to that entirely because, like, both Minxxie and Minnie have said now. So I'm physically disabled. So I have mast cell disease and POTS, and I was unable to hold down a job right around the time the pandemic started, and it was happening before that, but I think 10 years in the past, I was still listening to the gaslighting doctors. But
Oh yeah.
but it caused me to realize there's a reason why I'm struggling to hold down a job, and thus I started, you know, with the sex work on Fansly, and then also then in the VTubing. But the main thing that I think of is after a while, it just sort of becomes your life. You don't really notice what you once were missing. But a big part that it grew even more in sizes. I'm very much the 1950s version of human bubble. So I can't be around people. I have to wear a mask, and I wear an N95 in all public places because I have to.
Yeah.
Because I can't receive other germs. I'm too immunocompromised. So what ends up happening is, you know, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm married, because I don't want to have to start dating or anything like that again. You know, I was thinking if I was like this, as bad as I am now, and I had to date, I was like, no, sir, I'm gonna live with my cats and get on Fansly. That's it, because I couldn't put that risk to myself again. But Fansly offers that opportunity both as creators and users. To connect in intimate and meaningful ways, or enjoyable ways, or entertaining ways, and there's so much that can be said to socializing via online platforms. And I know that was
Absolutely.
getting big anyways. It was getting big anyways, just from more advanced technology, emerging technology. The secret is, it's not a secret, that I have a PhD. Or I was a PhD dropout technically, so I can't say I have one. But but I was a researcher in emerging media and behavioral effects from media. So like I studied all of this, and then things happened, and I was like, I get it.
Okay, Ari, I have so much like empathy for you because I was studying. I wanted to do my master's to become a sexologist, and I got chronic fatigue syndrome, and I'm like bedbound. I stream from an adaptive rig over my bed, so like I have so much empathy for your experience, and it's awesome that you found like the happiness and the success that you have, despite, you know, the things that are potentially holding you back. So
I'm gonna
huge
cry, and
respect.
that's not sexy.
No, I just immediately
I-
clocked it because that is exactly the experience that Mystique has as well. Like sort of being
Yeah.
immunocompromised and sort of bedbound.
Nano saw one of those said like the streaming rigs like you were describing, and she was like, yo, if we knew this like 2 years ago for you. And I was like, I know. Things have they go through improvements, and then, you know, like it's like waves for me. So like there's times when I can manage and times when I can't, but like
Peaks and troughs.
yeah, exactly. But I like how much this offers people. I like how much it offers everyone. Even in terms of creative expression, just it's good. It's all just really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So wait, what was the original question that was asked? Because I kind of ADHD'd out of the train of thought.
Okay, I caused that. I'm sorry.
No, all good, all good. We were sort of delving into why people seek out the GFE, like why people like want that specifically
Oh
when they
god.
come to like on these
Tangent is
spaces.
way off.
No, it's all good actually, because you hit on some things that are very important. I think Faye asked about it earlier as well, which we will get to at a certain point as well. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, I think, I just want to echo what everyone else said about, like, I think it offers an opportunity for connection that everyone, well, I can't say everyone, but most people want and seek out. And so it's just a really nice environment, honestly. Like, the people who I find seek out this kind of content, they're very kind and generous and sweet individuals. It's a really nice space to work in.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, some of my clients are like coming from working in like doing sex work in real life, being a dancer, and comparing to the type of people I used to deal with to the people I deal with now is night and day.
Oh
Night and
God,
day.
yeah.
I just think
I
about
actually-
the office jobs. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no, please go.
Yeah, please.
I was just saying, like, I know Nano still has a like an office, your typical, like, well, kind of not typical 9 to 5, but like, you know what I mean, like office kind of work. But in addition to the VTuber, I just think about like the office jobs I used to do, where like I'd go in and I have nothing in common with anybody, and they're like, "Come out to drink $1 beer with us at this salmon-colored pool hall," and I'm like, "Well, first of all, I'm allergic. Second of all." But then, like, you look for commonalities with people, and you can kind of find them. But that was so hard in all those places I went. But I found more people like me here than anywhere else.
Well, you can find your people online, can't you?
You really
Yes.
can. I think it's a little bit easier in some ways.
You're not limited by proximity.
Yeah.
What I'm very curious about is, what is the brand of girlfriend experience that you offer? Like, what does girlfriend experience mean for you guys?
Well, for me, I offer that very I try and keep mine as because I also do, obviously I'm a physical, like I'm a face cam streamer, so what I look like is not a secret or anything like that, and I try and use that to my advantage as best as possible. So I really try and market that girl next door kind of sort of experience where, like, I could be that girl who lives in the apartment next to you. I could be that neighbor who's lived across the road and down one your entire life. Like, that's kind of because I want to offer as a realistic experience as I can. Which is why a lot of the audios and things I do are direct to listener.
Right.
Because I want that experience to be about them completely. It's about them. I am speaking to them. It's me and them. There's no overarching story. There's no roles per se. It is me as I am and them. And I try and keep my most of my audios are as gender neutral as possible, so they could apply to anybody listening. Anybody. There are a couple that are for like female for female, male for female, and so on. But majority of my audios I try and keep as gender neutral as possible, because I want that appeal to be for everybody. So yeah, that's kind of what I try and market my girlfriend experience as.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is very awesome. It's sort of very classic, like, way to look at it, like the girl next door thing, because that's like been a trope in adult content for a very long time. But it definitely is modernizing it, bringing it into like the 21st century. think.
And
Yeah.
it's relatable, and it's something people feel like it gives it. How do you explain this? It's hopeful.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
not that
100%.
they're trying to get with the creator specifically, but that they're like, I could have this one day. Like I could meet somebody like this, and it gives them sort of a realistic hope.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
aspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's why even like the photos and stuff I post, I try and keep it as like amateur looking as possible, because
yeah.
I want those photos to look like oh, I've sent you that. I've taken that and
Mhm.
I've sent it to you. I
I
want it
love
to feel like
those.
yeah, I want it to feel like the way I think about it is like every picture I put up, whether it's for free or whether it's behind a paywall, I want it to feel like, oh, hey, you need a new lock screen for your phone? Here you go. Like, I
Mhm.
want that kind of vibe to it. And so I try not to make anything look too overproduced or too photo shoot like there is effort and there is the thought behind it as if it was a kind of
Mm.
an official shoot, but I try and keep it looking as dialed back as possible because I want it to feel really um God, I hate saying the word organic because that feels like
Authentic.
Casual.
authentic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, authentic and casual as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
That's cool.
there's no shame in, like, wanting to look like, someone just sent you the Snapchat or, like, texted you, like, a quick photo rather than, like,
Mm.
set up cameras and a photo shoot and hire a photographer to take these shots of you,
Mm.
Immersive. That's
Yeah.
the word. Immersive.
Immersive.
Like
Yeah.
you're living it.
Exactly. Yeah. I want I create my spicy page as if it's like a text chain between me and the person who's scrolling it. So like my posts are very like directed as if it's at somebody. My photos are very like selfie like. My audios that I do on my main feed that aren't role play are very like I've sent some very naughty voice notes sort of thing. So that's what I try and keep my main feed looking like because it aids in that very like girl next door kind of experience.
Absolutely. Minnie, I know that you've been started to take photos as well, cosplay photos to go with your audios. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach when you're sort of doing that sort of content?
Of course. I just started doing this maybe a couple weeks ago. I just thought, like, instead of just posting, like, art along with the audio, I wanted it to be more immersive. Is that the word I want to use? Like, have a visual along with the audio that's in that theme. So, like, the listener can have, like, the best of both worlds.
That's cool.
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting to pair, like, because I know lots of people do audios, but very few people actually pair up, like, IRL photo shoots with those. So it is sort of like visual stimulation along with the auditory stimulation. I think that was pretty unique, actually, because a lot of folks don't do that. You should just pick one,
Thank you.
We had a question up top from Faye that I wanted to discuss, actually. So Faye says, question for the panel, though they appreciate that this is not something everyone can answer. Several here have mentioned that there is an increase of loneliness that they want to alleviate for others. Would you say that this has grown more pronounced over recent years, in particular following the pandemic, with particular aspects of isolation it brought to the fore?
Probably, yeah.
Oh,
I think it picked up.
100%.
Definitely
easily,
VTubing
yeah.
blew up during the pandemic because there was certainly a lot of people looking for that sort of interaction with other people that they were missing. You couldn't go up to your friend's house anymore and play games, so you would do it online.
And then like, oh, sorry, that face
no,
to
you
face
go first.
became face to screen.
Oh yeah.
If it's okay if I answer this question as well, like for me, because of my disability, loneliness and feeling isolated was a very big thing because like I live in basically one room. I only leave my house a few times a year. And this gave me a way to reach out into the world and feel like I was part of the world again. And I think that there are a lot of people, whether they are socially isolated, physically isolated, um, who also want to reach out in a similar way, um, and alleviate the need for companionship, the need for sexual gratification,
Yeah.
the need for some kind of rapport with someone that sees them as special and is happy when they are around. And that is something that I found in streaming even before, when I was a manager of another streamer, before I became a streamer myself. I think the pandemic has probably raised the profile of that kind of avenue for like pursuing that kind of gratification or providing it. Like, you know, with me, I would never be a facecam streamer, but VTubing has allowed me to do this, which I've always wanted to do. And I think that the pandemic has brought things into focus that have always been there. And I'm really glad that technology exists now for us to be able to both provide for and satisfy those needs.
I think that's a wonderful
Absolutely.
point, especially when it comes to what was mentioned previously about disability. Like, people didn't start to be disabled with the pandemic, but like it's definitely come to the forefront now that we've found ways to accommodate those people that we weren't trying to before. And we found careers and potentially like things that people could do to interact with each other that once everyone's free movement was taken away, suddenly became very important to everybody. And in some ways, that's great, you know? Yeah.
You notice how suddenly a lot of jobs that absolutely couldn't be work from home suddenly became work from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, like touching on what Mystique said about how like that loneliness has like definitely always, like that need for that intimacy has always been there. I can 100% agree with that. Obviously, having done spicy work in real life before, like that loneliness has always been there. People will see spicy workers for those exact reasons in real life. Like pre-pandemic, like some of my regular like dance clients were people who felt like they could not speak to a woman, let alone flirt with one or have a banter with one without it being some kind of transaction, because like, I've given you money, it's assured now that I get that now. So it's like that loneliness has definitely always been there, but the pandemic taking that avenue away and putting it online has definitely seen like not only a boom in creators who do what we do, but also a very big explosion in the need for it, because people realize like, oh, I don't need to go outside now. Like, I can just, because I'm like that. If there is something I can do in my house, I will do it. I do my own nails. I do my own lashes. Like, I do my, like, if I
That's
can do it
crazy,
in
because
my
I was
house,
noticing your nails. They look amazing.
thank you. Like, if I can do my own thing in my house, I will do it. Same thing, whether it's nails, whether it's lashes, whatever. Same applies to content, whether it's spicy or not. If I can, like, I can get it in my house now. I don't have to go outside.
It was such a predominant narrative that we have to be outside, we have to do things outside, we have to go places to do things. And the pandemic, when it sort of forced everyone to take a step back and not live that predominant narrative, then, like Mystique said, that, you know, oh, we always had the accommodations for disabilities, thanks to some jobs that were refusing to give them to me. But like, we always had those accommodations, and then they're like, well, now we know we've done it, and it forced them to give those accommodations, and now people have a stronger chance of making that argument of, we can do this accommodation, you should give it to me. And then like, we don't have to belong to that predominant narrative anymore of we have to go outside. And then I think a lot of people started to feel like when things felt very bad or scary or unknown, there was a sense of escapism as well. And because there was that predominant narrative of, you know, that real life office job, face-to-face kind of socialization, when you got on Twitch, for example, with VTubers, it's like it's an escape because it doesn't feel quite real because you're talking to an anime person in, I don't know, a grand kingdom of a room. And for like me and Nano, like when I first started, I wasn't doing the space thing, and I rebranded almost a year ago to the space stuff because I wanted to do this science space kind of fantasy to really take them way out there, because that escape of being like an alien that can be whatever gave me the possibilities to do anything, create anything I wanted to take them anywhere they wanted to be in space.
That's a great point.
Yeah, like that's a big deal, and it enables, I think, a lot of people who could be great entertainers but who didn't because they didn't want to be on facecam. Because like if I looked like Minxxie, I would be on facecam all the time. I would have a selfie stick welded to my arms. I would want people to see me all the time, but I don't. And this has allowed me to step into a body that I feel suits my personality and perform in a way that I've wanted to for ages. And I think a lot of people who would not have been able to like be a face cammer or like go out and, you know, wanted to be an IRL sex worker because of the, you know, all the stuff that goes along with that, are able to do this. And I think we've got a lot more great entertainers and great content creators now because of it than they were previously. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense, because I think it's core to lewdtubing itself, because there are many reasons why people choose to lewdtube. It may be that they're in a culturally sensitive area where they're not, or a household where they can't express themselves like that. They may be able to express their sexuality in this way. It's like being able to be sexual without the fear of STDs and, like, you know, potentially putting yourself in danger, physical danger. Lots of reasons, actually. And as faces too, a body that may have been taken away from you because of things beyond your control too. So healing from assault and trauma, well, is what many people get into lewdtubing to do as well, to take back their sexuality on their own agency, rather than, you know, letting it continue to define themselves. You know.
Yeah, or just like, you know, I had an able body before I got sick, and I'm sorry, I know I'm doing a lot of talking this episode.
You're fine.
I had an able body before I got sick, and I obviously couldn't control being sick, and that able body was taken away, and my ability to do things was taken away, and this has given me back that ability to some extent. And I'm sure, Ari, you feel the same way.
It's like, it's not like the total reversal, but it's more autonomy plus some new stuff that gives me autonomy. So I get that, because like there's definitely stuff I wouldn't have wanted to do before, especially with the sex work. Like I'm just like, I don't really want to do in person.
Yeah.
But sell feet pics, make stuff on Fansly, easy. I'll do.
Nano and Minnie, what do you guys think? I'm sorry, I've been talking so much.
What was the question?
Mood.
I think it was Faye's question, right?
Yeah, so it was along the lines of, has the pandemic sort of like enhanced or, well, I don't remember the question that well either, honestly.
Do you think that loneliness is a factor in people enjoying your content, and have you seen an uptick of that since like the pandemic?
I started streaming in general in 2022. So it was like during towards the end of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Like 2022 around
That's
there.
when it requested the vaccines were out, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. and I just started doing the lewdtubing, like fansly stuff recently. But I noticed that a lot of people want like that type of when connection.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, connection with people, especially like with VTubers, like you can't really see their face, so you can have this, I guess, parasocial relationship.
No, we're about to get there. Yeah.
Do you think that there's something about being like, particularly an anime person, that like feels less confrontational than an IRL person? For people with like
Probably.
extreme anxiety, for example.
I feel like it does because like you're not, showing your face, but you're showing your personality through your avatar.
Mm.
So people still get to know you, but through an anime person.
Mm. And I mean less confronting for them, so they feel more
Yeah.
comfortable, like, being in more vulnerable
Yeah.
headspaces.
Oh, absolutely. I find people once they get to know me and they work with me a little bit, I without fail will always be told that I was really nervous to
Mm.
talk to you. I was
Mm.
really nervous to talk to you. And so part of that is a slight drawback to doing what we do the way I do with a being face cam and being very open with my appearance and what I look like, because it does create that a level of kind of inapproachability, and that they're like, oh, I can't talk to her, like I
Mm.
can't talk to, and I'm like, you can. Please
Yeah, I
talk
think
to me.
that's actually a really good point about social conditioning of like not punching above your weight and talking to people that are quote unquote out of your league.
Oh yeah, you see it all the
Mhm.
time in this space, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also that's the good thing about, I think, when people finally do actually start to talk to me and we build that connection and we have our back and forth, and I create that safe space for them.
Mm.
It lifts them. They feel like, it's like I have this you take the transaction out of it, and you've created this fantasy for them that it's like, oh no, I have this person, I have this this girlfriend, if you will, because that's the experience we create.
Mhm.
And then obviously, like Atra said, well, I'm assuming probably going to touch on the parasocial kind of
Oh boy, are we ever.
edge sword that we walk on. Once they do get settled and they see past the and they actually talk to me, I like seeing them lifted, and they develop a brand new sense of self-confidence, and it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to
Yeah.
watch. But don't get me
Oh,
wrong, there are days.
you've become Atra, Minxxie.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
This is my show now.
Don't mind me. I'm trying to figure out why reactives don't work, but you know what? We're just gonna we're doing it live.
But yeah, seeing that person blossom into a new sense of self-confidence that we have the potential to give them is really it's really nice. It's really, really nice.
Absolutely. I've heard feedback many times from like people who work on Fansly that find like they tend to meet people who are very respectful, and who are more aware of the rules and don't transgress as much as Twitch chat, for example.
Yeah, I have extensive experience moderating on both Twitch and also Fansly, and I literally have never had to ban someone on Fansly from the chat. There was one person who was kind of getting a little obnoxious, so occasionally I'm like, "Hey, don't spam the chat," and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." But like Twitch, banhammer left and right in the ASMR category. Let me tell you.
Oh God, I can
Oh
only
god,
imagine.
yeah. I've seen some terrible shit.
I think
So
a
do-
lot of times. Oh, sorry.
Oh no,
Delay.
you go, please.
I think I tweeted about this at some point. And I was just saying, like, I find that there's less sort of this misconduct or behavior that's like trolling or just crossing boundaries, ignoring boundaries. I
Mm.
find a lot less of that in the sex work space than I do in Twitter space. You know, like more mainstream streaming kind of space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my hypothesis for why it happens more in Twitch chat than Fansly chat is the people who try to violate your boundaries in Twitch chat are doing it for the power play. They
Yes.
enjoy that. But if they're there on Fansly, like everybody's already being lewd and having a good time, and everybody just wants to have a good time. So it's, totally different atmosphere, which I greatly appreciate.
And probably with the rapport that they've built up with the person, they have less of a desire to be like cut off from the source of that gratification. I
That's true.
imagine.
Yeah, they
anyway.
That's true.
they all submit pretty easily.
So, like, do you guys do one-on-ones as well as like more general stuff? Or is it just like general that anybody can see?
Elaborate on one-on-one?
Like, do you do
Well,
private
like-
shows?
Yeah, private shows or like like
Chatting.
phone sex work or
Yeah.
sexting
Oh,
or
yeah.
something with one person.
Yeah. I have customs. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
like private commissions. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
So is it live or is it pre-recorded kind of stuff?
Both actually, depending. Private, I do both. Some are pre-recorded, so that's like, like which words can I say here?
You can say all words.
Literally say all
body
words,
part ASMR. That's pre-recorded, but like I also have what do you call them? Private play sessions, or sexting sessions or things like that. Those are live content.
So like, is that like when you're in a Discord call or something and you're
Mm,
dirty
yeah.
talking to someone while they are jacking off or, whatever the case may be?
Yeah, and my community is really community and clients, because like some clients are like more of like they want privacy, like they don't want to be in a community per se. They just kind of want to like get the goods and go home and feel good. But like,
Yeah.
all of them have been really respectful. I was honestly worried that there were going to be some who were like, "You're my girlfriend now, right?" And I'm like, "Let's remember, this is
Mhm.
erotic fantasy." But I always remind them all very transparently that it's erotic fantasy, and they're all very good about it. Like they're like, "Yep, that's what I'm here for."
That's
Yeah.
I've
pretty
been
cool.
very lucky that it's gone well, especially with the live
Yeah.
stuff. I always got kind of nervous.
Yeah, same. I offer both live and pre-recorded custom stuff, with and without visual aid. It's depends on person to person. And I'm the same in that I've noticed that my strictly kind of NSFW audience has a very intense level of privacy, so much to the point where there is almost no crossover between my Twitch and my NSFW base. Almost no crossover whatsoever. And there is like a couple who
Mhm.
go across, but very rarely will I see someone who is a regular client in my Twitch chat. Very rarely. And I like that because I do my best to not use my Twitch for
Erotic
to-
promotion?
correct. Yes. I'm trying to keep those two worlds as separate as possible. I'll put stuff on Twitter and things like that. But that's kind of the closest to kind of community crossover as I'll get. Because like you said before, the people, they want that privacy and they pay for that privacy. And I am very, very, very happy to provide that privacy, especially in a sense where it's away from, you know, sometimes people just want to watch me fucking play Valorant. Like they're not interested.
Yeah,
They're
no,
not
exactly.
like they're not interested in much else, and then some other people are just interested in seeing me with my shirt off, and that's also fine. There's two separate platforms for that. So, you know, the kind of cross-pollination is something that just kind of clicked in my head when you mentioned it, and you know, I'm very surprised at it, but not mad at it, to be honest.
Yeah, I hate to get
Yeah,
topical with it, but like this is something that Podge the Goblin said in regards to the recent Twitch meta and like the whole like argument whether or not you should be able to promote your sex work on Twitch, which was along the lines of like sex workers deserve to have spaces too on places like Twitch where they don't have to be like lewd or like NSFW. They deserve to have those spaces as well and not be like forced to constantly engage with that if they don't want to. And I think that's the case for many, many people who get on the show, and myself included. Like, I never want to talk about that stuff, like, here and on my channel, because, like, there's a time and place for it, and I just feel like, as you said, some people just want to watch me play games or chat. They don't want to hear me, like, beat my dick, you know, like...
That's actually feedback, because I have a lot of cross-pollination between, like, my say-so and unsay-so communities. And a couple of people have said that one of the reasons they enjoy my content is that I turn it off.
Yes.
Like the sexy, horny, oh my god, kind of like... and you know, we can just laugh, and I can put googly eyes on my tits and, like, you know,
yeah.
just play a game. And I think that people also want to be comfortable and not just horny all the time.
That's what I have about a moderate amount of crossover between because there are definitely some people who are on Twitch that are not on Fansly, and there's definitely people on Fansly who are not on Twitch. But then I do see I see a migratory group going back and forth. They're growing
The
a little bit
Canadian
in size,
geese
I've
of
noticed.
lewdtubing.
They basically are. They're just like geese pod going back and forth, being like, we're here. But there is a difference in content, obviously, because I'm super overt on Fansly. But when I'm over on Twitch, I'm like, well, one, TOS, I can't. Two, like, different kind of content. It's ASMR. So we're doing more of like the relaxing stuff than we are super horny, gonna explode all over the place kind of content. And I have had some people come in who are like, oh my god, you just made me come. And I'm like, not here.
Wrong website.
You can do that. I don't care. But no one wants to know.
Yeah.
No one wants to know you touched your pee-pee.
Making
Seriously.
everybody
No one wants to
uncomfortable.
know.
Yeah. It's weird, like, when that happens. But I think this is a perfect segue, actually. So, when making content of an intimate nature, especially one that, like, pantomimes an intimate relationship, you always run the risk of meeting people who may be parasocial, take things a little too far, or may think that the exchange of gifts, money, or time might constitute a relationship or an entitlement to your body, or your time as well. How do you sort of approach having that situation? Are you proactive in dealing with it, or do you just sort of deal with it on a case-by-case basis as it comes up?
I have a disclaimer. Make everyone else go first before you have me talk, because we haven't talked to each other personally about this, but that was my dissertation, was parasocial behavior. And I can tell you right now, there's very little research on it, and I was one of the first researchers to professionally
that's so
ever
cool.
cover it. So let them go.
I did a video on parasocial relationships, like a primer explainer video before our episode on like parasocialism. So I'm very excited to hear this.
Well, giving how open I am with me as a person and appearance and all this kind of stuff, I have had to deal with quite a lot of parasocial attachments from, especially through the spicy side of what I do, because what I provide is so intimate, and I am sharing myself as a person with another person. So I find the attachments can develop, especially if that person is particularly, lonely and what have you. The presentation of another human being in that sense will naturally create an attachment from someone who's in that kind of mindset. So dealing with it in that sense is I have had to learn to be very, unfortunately, cold with it when it comes to enforcing that boundary. I don't like being that way. I don't like breaking that fantasy and all of a sudden going from being warm and flirtatious and, providing them all of this attention to all of a sudden breaking that fantasy and saying no. Being and very firm with that no. I don't like doing it. It's very out of character for me just as a person. But I have found that if you are not firm and if you're too light with it, they will keep it doesn't stop. It won't stop. Because that person has convinced themselves of a fantasy that is no longer a fantasy, and it needs
and they don't take hints.
Exactly. They will not take hints in that situation. So there have been moments where I've had to fully break character, if you will, and because this person has begun to say, very concerning things. And I think we all know, and we've all heard the same kind of spiels, and that, it's like, I wish you didn't have to do this. I wish I could take you away. I wish I could, this is just for us. We all know those big red
the white
flags.
knight syndrome, basically.
Yeah, and we've definitely all heard them. And once those kind of start breaking that fantasy very quickly and almost coldly is how I have found the only way for it to stop it short. And reminding them that, okay, yes, you've gifted me these things off my wish list, and you've given me X amount of money and blah 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 blah, but you have paid for a service. It's the same as if the same way you pay for your groceries. You don't buy all your groceries and then expect the checkout person to cook your dinner for you.
What a service that would be.
Right?
Right?
Also, that's a great analogy. I'm stealing that.
Thank you. But yeah, so it's having to break the fantasy, immediately remind them that they are breaching their side of what the arrangement is. Bring them back to reality. Some of them don't want to hear it, and unfortunately I've had to use that ban button, that block button. And the sad thing about doing what we do is that removes a channel of income. That removes a semi-reliable channel of income that might have been coming from that person. So it is never a thing to do. Yeah.
It's so relatable when you talk about, I don't want to have to do the boundary, but you're making me do the boundary. And I feel bad when I do, but I'm one voice, of course, from socialization, especially gendered socialization in the US and in other Western countries, and especially West European countries. They make you feel bad for having any boundaries. But at the same time, a different voice is going, you have to have this boundary. There's going to be very dire consequences potentially if you don't have this boundary.
Absolutely.
Minnie, Nyano, did either of you guys want to go before Eri does her dissertation?
Okay, I could go. I fortunately haven't had that many parasocial situations yet. When I stream, I flirt with my chat sometimes, but it never goes over that certain over the top boundary, because at the end of the day, I'm a content creator. They are my community. there's like should be a fine line that separates those two.
Mhm.
And like I asked them about their day, but not on a one-on-one basis. Like I'm not talking to you all day every day, like getting to know your life, and you're not getting to know mine. Even if I do post about some of it on social media,
Mhm.
there's still that uh window that like saves that type of interaction.
Mhm.
And I feel like you have to set that straight sooner than later before it gets bad.
I think
I
I know what you
agree.
mean by that. So basically, like, you're allowing people in, but only to the extent that, they don't transgress what you're showing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to set those boundaries like early and often. I see so many
Yes.
examples online of boundaries being transgressed, and I
Mhm.
think to myself, wow, I would have banned that person from my chat after their second message.
Oh,
And
God, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's really important. And I think also with Ari and me, we're a unique situation. We're married, we create together, and that's sort of a built-in boundary we have where it's like, look, we're creating a fantasy for you. We're married in real life, and that's
Mm.
our real life. This is a fantasy experience for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I used to call you my girlfriend because I was afraid to tell people I was married?
Yeah, we were afraid that like, yeah, we were
And then
afraid
I
that like,
realized I was like, JK, we're married.
yeah, I was like your longtime girlfriend when you started streaming, and then we're like, oh yeah, we're married.
Did anyone, like, drop
We
out of your
crossed things up.
community after you came out as married?
No, no one did. I mean, people came and go naturally over time, but like, no, not because of that, at least. Not overtly. They didn't let us know, so I don't know.
That's true. Some people let you know. Some people like, oh, well, you're married. I can't do this.
I've seen it. I've seen people
Yeah.
talk about it, in their sort of accounts on Twitter, especially. That seems to be where I always find stuff. But, people be like, wow, people are so mean to me. And I'm like, I don't know how I got so lucky. I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a person who is not in the NSFW side per thing, but is known for his voice, and does, he has a following on TikTok and Twitch and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of, when him and I are ever, we try and keep our communities as separate as possible. But there's inevitably crossover, but we've noticed that if we are making, for example, if I'm ever on his stream, a lot of his chatters naturally are women. None of them are around when I'm on his stream. None of them.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. And if they are not very interactive as they usually are because my presence is there. And I always have that inner guilt, and I say to him all the time, I was like, I feel like I'm slowing you down, I'm dragging you down, I'm like, my presence is like ruining what you're doing. And he's like, he's always told me, if they are solely in my community because they want to have a relationship with me, I don't want them in my community, period. Like, if that's
It's
the
like people who
only
throw temper
reason-
tantrums when streamers get partners. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Markiplier.
Yeah.
Like you were ever gonna like get with fucking Markiplier or whoever. Or
Mhm.
Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, it's like we're expected to not be humans and not have connections with other humans. It's insane. And I mean, paired with the fact that like he's very open with what he looks like, and he's a very attractive man. So it's very like, even though he doesn't do the NSFW work, the parasocialism isn't limited to sex workers for sure. Like, this stuff his
sure.
DMs are a hellscape.
I can only imagine.
Oh my god. He posts a hand picture on Twitter and the whole world falls apart in his DMs. It's insane.
Oh, I'm looking forward to finding out more about this kind of thing on the boyfriend experience episode, because like men
Ooh.
have their own brand of like
Yeah.
creepazoids and parasocial madness that they have to deal with. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
very excited to delve into like that shit show.
Ours has always been really, we have a weird experience where obviously we'll say, oh, we're wives. And they're like, oh, that's so cute. And then Nana will be like, yeah, legally married. And somebody will be like, wait, you're married?
You're
And I'm like,
actually married?
yeah, because, and I see this so many times. I've been in some discords where like a lot of, people will say like in an affectionate way with their friends, you're my wife,
My
and things
VTuber
like
wife,
that.
yeah.
Oh, I
And
fucking
I'm
hate
like,
that.
no,
I'm sorry.
I'm always like, I dare them. I get up in their face. I'm like, do it. Marry her. Do it. I don't joke about it. Marry her. But like Nano and I were like, no, we're actually married. And then we get one of two responses. Either one's like, oh my God, gay people. I found more gay people. And that's always funny. Or the other one is like, what? Yes, gay
Yeah.
people are
You
real.
guys gay for
Surprise!
real? Not for play on the internet?
It's true.
Actually living together as gays? No way.
I like No, you would not believe we've gotten that comment a
I'm sure
couple
you
of
have.
times. They're like, you live together for real? And I'm like,
Yes.
I just want to point out it looks like our VTuber models are holding hands, and I think that's on brand.
Aww.
That's so cute.
That's adorable. Oh my God, it's so gay. I love it.
I gotta
You let me
censor
know
that.
when
We
I
can't
can ramble off on parasocial.
We can't have hand holding on this podcast. It's very, very lewd.
It's the new Twitch meta. Can you put a censor bar over our hands?
Yeah. Just move their name tag over so it can't be seen.
I actually could have had V2 Studio open, but I had to close it because my CPU is like acting up.
Post-marital hand holding.
Yeah. Post-marital hand holding.
The in-laws will be happy about that.
Mhm.
Give them hand-holding grandchildren.
But like I've also always been really open about the fact that I am married and I'm polyamorous and I have 2 partners outside of my marriage, and like I'm happy with them. I didn't expect to find 1, let alone 2. So like you're not gonna have a chance. Sorry.
They're happy and in love. Get them.
I have been in that situation, and I'm like, I think there were, it was really sort of coordinated by somebody else, and I was sort of in and then out of the picture, but like there was about 4 total people, and I was just like, scheduling gives me anxiety.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
That's the hardest part.
But like my husband is my biggest fan, and like he's in my Twitch chat, he's in my Fansly chat. People know that he's there, and like it's totally okay if they are like flicking the bean or beating their meat or titillating their trouser area over whatever I'm doing. But like my husband is there, and he loves that people do that. But like that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I think there's a market for everything, and as long as like you're open with people, like they'll respond to it,
Yeah, like I had to have a very difficult conversation with my partner, because we're long distance right now. So I did have to. I
Oh,
had
that's hard.
previously, yeah. So I had previously on a spicy site. I used to do partnered work with other spicy creators. And that obviously then when I got into a relationship with this person, because we are monogamous as well, just because we're touching on kind of relationship dynamics as well.
Mhm.
I am monogamous, so we had to have that conversation where like it is at the time was a massive part of my income, the money that I would get from those types of videos, because those are the ones that's where it is, unfortunately, when it's that the live action sort of thing. And so we had to have that conversation, and a very open and honest conversation where he was upfront with me saying, I it is a lot for me to ask because that is your livelihood, but I don't know if I can, I'm not okay with it. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you I'm not okay with it. So we did have to kind of talk through that. It was an initial speed bump at the start of our relationship that we had to talk through. And we kind of came to a compromise on what I create now and how I work now that he is okay with. And the day is coming very soon where we're going to be long distance, which is great. And he's expressed interest in making content with me. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's really cool.
yeah, so that's very, very sweet and very very exciting. But yeah, it definitely, a real life relationship definitely can change how you approach and do the things that we do, for sure.
Yeah, I was really nervous when I first told Nano. I was like, how is she gonna respond? It's like, I sell panty pics. Like, she was fine with it. She's like, can I see?
Yeah, I was like, I want to see. I want to see. And then my phone has a better camera. So, like, I have this awesome library of amazing pictures on my phone. I love it.
My wife's phone to take all my pictures because my phone is garbage. And I was like, wow, you have a nice phone. So I just leave them all on her phone.
I think it's amazing when partners can be supportive and engaged with with your sex work, because you can have very open conversations about boundaries and keep things healthy and like within comfort for everybody. And I really love that.
Yeah, when Ari first
too.
Yeah, when Ari first when Ari first started doing like VTuber spicy content, I had no intentions of joining that. And then as I started to think about it over time, I was like, you know what? I think this sounds like it could be fun. I want to give this a try. So then yeah, we started making spicy content together, and it's a lot of fun.
I like that I brought out the exhibitionist in you.
Yes.
It takes work. A lot of people are like, you have the perfect relationship. And I'm like, yeah, ours worked out pretty well. We were really similar in a lot of ways, and that sort of worked to our benefit. But like, I've had to learn, because trauma's fun, sparkly emoji, that like, don't run away from people just if there was one thing that didn't work out, or there was one thing that was a hiccup, or you have to keep working at it if you feel comfortable enough to. That's the big part. If it was like one thing, don't be scared. Arguments, misunderstandings, miscommunication are super common. You never know what people have got going on behind the scenes that their family has bestowed upon them trauma-wise.
Absolutely.
Well, like Atra has to deal with my tendency to over-explain everything all the time, and like my constant apologizing.
Oh yeah.
We're working
that
on
feeling.
it.
Yeah, he loves it. He enjoys when I apologize all the time. It's his favorite thing.
I feel like people like can sometimes go after you like just because you do spicy content, so they think, oh, I'm gonna get a girl who's a lewdtuber or a corn star. And
Corn.
yeah, corn. So I think that could be a problem. Like, instead of going for the personality, they go for just the lewd side.
The label.
Yeah, the label.
Right.
Because they honestly, they don't understand the kind of, they understand the kind of the shallow appeal, the shallow end of the appeal of what that means, but they don't understand the kind of real life adult conversations that need to happen when it comes to being with someone who does spicy work. Because it's like, oh, okay, you want to date someone who, like, my kind of like my real life example, it's like, oh, you want to date someone who has videos and pictures on the internet of her doing certain things with other people. Are you ready for that reality? Are you, because this is the internet, that shit's there, she's there,
It's never going away.
It's never
Yeah.
going away, and you have to deal with said like repercussions of that. And if you can't deal with that, then you don't. If you can't deal with that in a healthy manner, you don't get to enjoy the perks that come with dating someone who does what we.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely,
a
great point.
conversation I had to have with my partners as well. Was like, I'm going to come into sexual contact with other people, and I may end up offering private services potentially. Like, if you are not okay with that, you need to tell me, and we need to work this out now, because I don't want to start doing that and then have to stop because you're upset or whatever, and we're dealing with like changing content in a highly emotional situation. Something else
gosh,
that
yeah.
helped actually was getting a safe person to do that with. Like, Atra and I are each other's safe person. Like, we know we're not going to get weird and do crazy shit or like super demanding of each other's time. And like, when we started, we basically just made lewd content with each other, and then branched out from there, having that safe space and safe person to like start with.
Yeah, definitely like figuring out what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. Like, I tell everyone, it took me like 3 to 5 months to actually come on stream, like for the first time, and like it's just something that I had to work up to, and I was able to explore that with someone I trusted in Mystique, and as she says, you just go from there.
Yeah.
There was before I ever got into any adult content, I lived in Tokyo, and one of my friends was he and his partner were in I forgot the abbreviation, but adult videos, like gay men adult videos.
Okay.
Oh yeah, AVs.
Gotcha.
And yeah, they were it's like JAV, I don't know, I don't remember.
Yeah. JV.
JV, yeah. So they were in JV, and they always explained to me that they had things that they reserved for each other that weren't acted out in their work, and it sort of created this private boundary of sorts for him and his partner. And I always thought that was a really interesting perspective to have, because I've practiced that in becoming an adult creator. Because there are some things people will be like, who's really the top? Who's real? And I'm like, I'm not telling you. That is for me to know.
Yeah, exactly. Why does that matter?
Yeah, and
super bullshit. Like, bottom that.
And what frustrates me, I'm just quickly, it's obviously very off topic, but touching on that top and bottom thing, it's very like frustrating, as obviously like we have members of the Rainbow Mafia here. I am one of them. Having the words like top and bottom, things like that, having watched them being taken from the queer community and applied in, it's the same with like when I hear straight women use the term pillow princess as an insult. It's so frustrating. It's like people throwing the words like bottom around like it's an insult. It's like it's frustrating, and it's such a strange development that I've seen a lot in the past like 12 months in moving it out of NSFW queer spaces, and now all of a sudden it was just, again, very off topic, and I feel like I'm in a safe enough space to vent about that for a second.
You might scream.
Yeah.
You might scream if I tell you what they've sort of appropriated next.
What?
Lavender weddings.
What?
Yeah, I've been seeing. I'm on TikTok far too often and far too much for my age, but like I've been on TikTok and I've been seeing people talk about it. They're taking on lavender weddings and lavender relationships. And I'm like, you have no idea what that means. Fuck right off. You have no idea what that history is.
For the fans at home, what is a lavender wedding?
Lavender weddings were the terms used back in like the lavender scare. When gay folks were being sort of how do you describe that? ostracized from
persecuted.
society and out of jobs and
Mm.
security, and it was sort
Right.
of persecution in a way. Like back in the 1950s, that was really heavy then, and through the 60s.
Severe discrimination. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just severe level of discrimination.
What people might call a
It's really
beard
bad.
now or something, like when a gay man marries a straight woman, for example, to like ass a
Mask.
straight man.
right,
Yeah.
right. And but yeah, so I saw that being talked about recently, and I was just like, no, 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 no.
Like if you
That's
only
so
understood like the
inappropriate.
horrible history behind that term, you wouldn't be using it.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
People losing
That's
jobs, opportunities, having to live a lie for decades.
Yeah, I have family members like that, and I had no idea until my 30s, where they were like, "Those I didn't know they were gay. I had no idea. I had no idea because they lived during that period of time."
Mm.
Oh, that's awful.
And then people are
Because-
like, "Why is everyone gay? Why is everyone gay these days?" It's like, no, they were back then too. You just force them like into the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're discovering so many new avenues now for to not to label ourselves per se, because I never feel like anyone has to label themselves, but when someone does find that correct name for
Well,
themselves, for
it's
these
labeling
feelings,
versus description, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
this like I feel like people having that affirmation now on the incredible spectrum that is gender identity and sexuality now, having such a broad spectrum now where everyone can see themselves reflected in something. And
Mm.
that's kind of, I mean, looping it back to, I guess, to try and get back onto what we were like, the reason why we're all here is, you know, that's why I do try and keep a lot of my work as gender neutral as possible, because I want to be able to appeal to everybody if I can. I know
Absolutely.
it's not going to necessarily happen because it's, like I said, the wonderful spectrums that we live on now are so vast, but I try my best to kind of make it as neutral as possible so everyone can
yeah.
feel, you know, everyone can feel
90% of
like
what
they
I
have a
write is
girlfriend.
like all for all, like A for A. It can be anyone speaking to anybody as whatever they pick, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like people saying, "Oh, there's so many different neurodivergences today." Back in my day in the
Why is everyone
50s,
autistic now?
when it was World War II, we just beat them and, you know, everything was fine.
Well, my favorite thing is like people now are like, oh, well, this whole like autism thing is like all brand new and blah blah blah. But you see that cabinet of plates over there that's on display? We're never allowed to use them. We're never. They're not to be used or touched. They have to stay in that order. And I will take them out once every 3.5 weeks exactly and wipe them down and put them back exactly as
With
they
this
are.
cloth, microfiber.
All right, so a couple things. Chat, if you have any questions for
Oh,
our
your
panelists.
mic is off.
Really? What?
Sorry, I was getting too excited. Talking.
Oh. I do that all the
Anyway.
time. Yeah. So, chat, if you have any questions for our guests, make sure you pop them in the chat. We will get to them as we get to them. Also, I did want to circle back to something Ari was talking about earlier about parasocialism, if you'd like to free the beast on us.
Free beast.
You're not ready.
Okay,
You're not ready.
I've been thinking in my head. Don't ADHD. Keep it concise. All right.
Okay,
Free
here
the
we go.
psych goblin.
All right. So first of all, people don't use parasocial exactly correctly all the time. So, and it's unfortunate for me because one of the big reasons why I was like, boo, academia, I always complained about it when I was there, was I was really big on public scholarship and they put everything behind paywalls. And I was just like, F you, double fingers. But so one of the things I want to talk about was parasocial just really means, and they mean this for celebrities, sports fanatics, anime, illustrated, books, anything you're a fan of, there's a chance that you could be parasocial. Here's the parasocial part. You have a deep emotional investment in it. So for example, if you've ever had your favorite character died and you cried for weeks, you are technically parasocial. That is what that means. So I studied a really big, what I was focused on was not the celebrity part of parasocial. I was focused on fictional characters and parasocial behavior. That's what I was super focused on. The part that comes in where people are talking about these crossing of boundaries and when they're like feeling entitled to you, feeling privileged to something of yours or to you, crossing personal boundaries, being stalkerish, participating in maybe unhealthy behaviors due to their deep emotional investment in you. That is called when parasocial relationship affects your, here's the phrase, reality status. That is what it is called. Your reality status affects your grip on reality. So if you ever saw that like age of TikToks where people were being like, I don't know what they called it. I astral glided to some other
projection.
Yeah, that one. I astral projected to like the Harry Potter universe or something. That is where, and they genuinely believe that. That is where your
That's a lube, isn't it?
It is a lube.
Oh, astral glide.
We know where your mind is.
Well, maybe. You could spray it on the floor and just like go whoosh down the passage. Like I astroglided down to nanotech.
Okay.
Astral
Well,
glide.
I'm gonna remember that forever. That I just fucked that up. I know it's really good for anal. So. Oh my god. These TikToks of young people, particularly in this group, talking about they were very emotionally affected because they wanted to be back in that world. Oh, my phone is dying. They wanted to be back in that world where they had astral projected. That's where the parasocial relationship you have with a fictional media starts to affect your reality status. So when you get people doing those really bad behaviors, that is where parasocial starts to affect your reality status. Now, parasocial itself is a completely neutral psychological phenomenon. So
where you're basically feeling an attachment or any
ties.
kind of investment to a character after you have seen them. So
yes.
If I think about the Backstreet Boys, that is a parasocial relationship. Even though I'm not watching them right now, I'm thinking about them. I have a parasocial relationship with them. It doesn't mean that I want to like go and stalk them and be weird.
Yeah. So literally the steps are you saw the Backstreet Boys and something went, oh, my heart. That's parasocial interaction. Then following months, you're like, wow, I am really into them. I could actually use BTS for probably more people your ages. You saw them, parasocial interaction, and you had this moment of, and then as you go into months of, I really want to get their merch, and oh my god, every time he sings, it makes me want to cry. That's parasocial relationship. Then if you send them locks of your hair in the mail, that is parasocial relationship affecting your reality status.
Did you do the inverted pyramid?
I should have.
Of parasocial relationship where it's like cognitive, affective. I'm trying to find the fucking slides I did so I can get the right
we
terms.
had a whole thing about this a couple episodes ago, actually, the pyramid of parasocial.
Yeah.
But every time somebody says they're parasocial with like somebody, like my friend, I put more energy and time into my relationship than my friend. That's not parasocial. It's not parasocial. And they're like, they're so parasocial over me. So I'm always like, I want to scream when I see it sometimes, but I'm like, they don't know. It's not their fault.
It's like entertainment social is like seeing the Backstreet Boys and thinking about them, and then the sending locks of the hair is intense personal, and then trying to like get into their locker rooms is like borderline pathological. Yeah, here's the slide. I've sent it to the Discord.
The BTS fan, what are they called? Army.
Army.
There were some that were like, I'm gonna be married to I forgot their names. Jimin. I'm
Jungkook.
gonna be married to Jungkook. I'm gonna be married to Jungkook, and I love their music. I'm just I just never ended up getting into the fandom. But like I'm gonna end up married. If I go to South Korea and I live there and I go to all their concerts and I try to get their attention, then maybe I could
They'll
be
notice me.
Yeah, it's when it starts to affect your life and other people around you. It's that reality status starts to kind of like get fuzzy when the boundaries start happening.
I mean, I've
but
seen
I
it
always
happen
like
to like
yeah.
one of our mutual friends actually who does ASMR audios, where like the YouTube comments will be people like, "Oh, I want to marry Maito," like, I would die for him, like that kind of stuff. Like, it gets really intense on YouTube with like these 16-year-olds sometimes.
And it's that the thing is cognitively up until about your mid to late 20s, you are more susceptible to effect on reality status. Once you get to 30, I think you're too crunchy and old.
Yeah, too crunchy and old.
I don't know about that. I'm in my 30s and I'm pretty parasocial, I guess.
I know. Look, I am 37. So like,
Minxxie needs to say something.
I was about to say I am almost 30 years old, and I was about to be real upset, but then you said you were 37, and I'm like, okay, go up actually. Like, yeah, never mind. It's okay. I'm ancient by internet terms, which is silly because
I'm 36
astronauts
almost.
every time they do this, I'm like, you're so old, you're a mommy, and I'm like, well, I took on the mommy persona, but when you're talking about my age, dude, they don't even send up astronauts until they're 35. Like they're like in 20 years of training prior. So like age, man.
I'm young in space terms.
We are young in space terms.
We don't get a lot of comments on YouTube, but literally there was a comment where somebody's like, "Is everyone on this podcast like over 30?" I'm like, "Yeah, for the most part."
Yeah.
We do trend
vibe.
I unfortunately have
you
to,
feel like it. Oh yes.
I unfortunately have to dip. I'm so sorry.
Oh, all good, all good.
Yeah, I am traveling to see some family for Christmas, and I need to get on the road. I've got a long drive ahead of me, but thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun. I've enjoyed meeting all of you, and I hope to continue to talk to y'all and all this kind of stuff. You've been wonderful. Atra, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, you've been a joy.
That so much. Thanks, chat. I love you guys, but I hope everyone has happy holidays if you choose to celebrate. Yeah, I have to go.
Happy holidays,
Thank you for coming.
Merry Christmas.
And please come back.
Bye.
Of course, if you'll
We'll
have me, I'll
come back. Yes.
Come back anytime.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Minxxie.
Bye.
Bye.
I should have worn a Santa hat. I didn't even think to do that.
I was going to actually, but
There's one in your accessories.
There is, yeah, in VTube Studio.
Yeah, the parasocial thing, the main thing I've always wanted to say is I want people to know what parasocial is and what they're actually talking about. That's been my long time beef.
Oh no, we're cropping out magenta. So the red is semi-transparent.
It looks like Black Parade.
Black Pill Santa.
Emo Santa.
This is my goth Santa hat, okay?
I like that's perfect for Nano. She's an emo.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think about any more questions about this topic. We did touch on the parasocial and sort of inappropriate behavior. Oh, I did want to ask, since some of you are multi-platform streamers, what is your experience on YouTube versus like Patreon versus like Fansly when it comes to making your content? Is your approach different depending on which site you're on?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very different.
Yeah, we've been learning a lot about that. Nano's really picked up on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've been learning a lot about how to YouTube effectively. And YouTube is really all about evergreen content. So the kind of videos that someone would want to look up no matter what year it is or where they are. And yeah, it's really a lot of fun to create there for me because it's sort of like I really appreciate the YouTube analytics. They give you a lot of good information about why your videos are working and why they're not. But sometimes you just have no idea why a video flops. So there is that. But yeah, there's a different content approach for me to all the different platforms. It's all about staying within your niche. So like the Patreon is exclusively spicy audios, and you have different YouTube channels for long form ASMR versus like short form role play ASMR. So very different there.
And they channel audience. So all of our patrons, majority of them come from YouTube. Majority. Whereas like my Fansly, majority actually I have really like Fansly improved over the last 2 years because they had no discoverability like 2 years ago. Now their discoverability is pretty good on site. But like also from Twitch and especially Twitter, that's what channels into Fansly mostly. So like different platforms almost exclusively pipeline into other platforms. It's super fascinating to like watch happen and like experiment with.
Very interesting, actually. I have noticed that with
Yeah,
some
I
of the
know.
creators as well. Yeah. The YouTube, the Patreon pipeline. I've noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Fantasy
Yeah.
stays pretty well in its own ecosystem, I've noticed.
It does. It does. I've known some people who've like had a huge oh my god, I don't know. I don't have words. Christmas stroke. I've seen a friend who talked about a huge group sort of traveled from her Twitter into her Fansly. And I saw that happen. And then like I've seen other people, like I've had a fair number of people come from Twitch, but I think the majority of mine on Fansly have just been on Fansly already.
Hmm. I've
I
actually
don't
also
see them
noticed
go
that.
very often to Twitch. Oh, sorry.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see them go often to Twitch though.
Yeah.
In the other direction. It's not a 2-lane highway apparently.
Minnie, was it OnlyFans or Fansly that you are currently working on?
Fansly.
How's your experience with Fansly been so far?
It's been pretty good. I have like a few like common supporters, which are close friends that I hold dearly to my heart. And but since I'm fairly new to being a content creator on Fansly, I haven't had many experiences, good or bad. So I can't really talk about that, but I have been thinking about doing ASMR roleplay on YouTube. So, any advice? That would be great.
Yeah, I personally really enjoy creating role plays. That's really actually what drew me to content creation in the first place. Is I started reading role play scripts on a subreddit for spicy role play scripts, and I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. And then I also started finding more scripts on Reddit that are safe for work and appropriate for YouTube. So I started making those as well, and Ari has also started making them. So yeah, I guess my advice there is like find scripts that resonate with you. You feel you can really portray that character, and I think people will appreciate it on YouTube.
Because for
Really
Fansly,
like-
I write all my scripts.
Oh,
That's
I
very good.
love that.
Yeah, I love that. Most people
I like
end up
choosing your scripts.
Oh yeah,
I like using your scripts for
we
stuff.
love actress scripts in this house.
I'm glad to hear
Well,
that.
actual scripts are great for like, especially like Twitter promotion because they tend to be under 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So even if you don't have Twitter Blue, you can like, you can make a full like narrative with one of his scripts.
Yeah, I try to keep them like, broadly appealing, under 2 minutes, and like, suitable for Twitter, but I'm also working my way to YouTube as well. Because I do find inevitably people do want to write their own content when it comes to like YouTube and like longer form stuff, because not a lot meets those needs. Like either it's like super hard and goes like with like all the taboo kinks, for example, and it's very YouTube unfriendly, or just like is gendered in a way that is like not helpful to like the content people are trying to make.
Yeah.
My struggle has been there so long.
Yes.
Like if I have a script that's like 800 to 1,000 words, I'm like, that's nothing compared to like the fanfic I used to write. But like when you're reading a script, it's just like, oh god, that's gonna take like at least 15 minutes. I don't want to do it.
People just go on and on and on. Like, I admire that writing, like that commitment, but like, who, like, if like 3 people read that script, it's probably an achievement, honestly.
Well, when writing stuff for the videos, like, I learned very quickly how few words on paper translate to like a lot of time when spoken.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like 60 lines is like a 6 or 7 minute video. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, in practice, I think we do maybe 10 to 12 lines on like my 2-minute scripts. So yeah, I get that.
I think when I tried to write my own scripts at one point for YouTube, I was like, okay, now I have to do this and not be sus. And then
It's hard.
I realized it is. I realized all my writing was just porn without plot, and I was like, oh boy.
It is
Like,
actually
that's why I was like, I
yeah,
think we have to have scripts
it's a
written for
unique
me.
challenge to like write like a story that doesn't involve like porn. Essentially, at least for me, like it's a whole thing.
It is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, all my fanfic when I used to write fanfic was porny. So now I kind of get to do that again in a different
Toes.
format. Yeah, when I write my scripts for spicy sites.
It's the natural evolution of fanfics, essentially, is RP
Exactly.
audios. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a period of time back in like 2012 to 14 when like everybody went from fanfic to reading these role plays, character-based role plays on Tumblr. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Like I remember this in a lot of anime-based spaces. They're the voice actors and people acting out these sort of role play scripts based on their favorite characters.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorites was Vegeta, the guy who voices Vegeta for Team 4-Star, playing Honey Pop as Vegeta.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
That was hysterical. It was so funny. He was like, "Here, eat this whole eggplant in front of me." Cute, that's a weird name. Not like Vegeta. It's on YouTube. You should definitely check it out.
I'm going to after stream now. So.
That's hilarious. We did have a question from Faye that I wanted to get to. Let's see if we get it.
Faye asks such good questions.
Thank you. Yes.
She's such a gift.
Is there a single experience you've had that stands out as allowing you to bring a form of joy you didn't think you could achieve in another manner? So essentially what Faye's asking here is like, is there an experience you've had while doing this content that has brought someone joy that you didn't think was possible previously?
Brought someone else joy?
Yeah, or yourself too.
Who wants to go?
I think.
Oh, I can go. Yeah, I wanted to say that like I see a lot of people get really like fulfilled by some of the like role play audios and streams that I do, and it's really I'm thinking of like a specific YouTube comment. I don't want to out the person, but they said like this is like one of the first times I've ever experienced such like wonderful personal attention, and I was like, I feel like I really brought light to someone's life where they were feeling lonely and sad, and I made them feel like comfy and good. And I was like, wow, that's really wonderful. I'm glad that I managed to do that with my videos.
You make my life better too.
Aw.
Cute.
Oh.
That's when they say stuff like that. That I'm like half shocked and half like really pleasantly surprised, and just like they say stuff like, you made my day so much better, or this content always brings me such comfort, or things like that. And I'm always really surprised by that. But they've given me a lot back because they my community and people who've watched especially my Twitch streams, when they get to sort of hear my lower register, which I've had since I was 12. And I didn't like it because when I was 12, I sounded like I was 30. And that had bad attention, obviously. And so people would tell me, wow, you sound so sexy, and I'm 12. But being a VTuber and people hearing my voice, it's constantly, like every single stream, there hasn't been a single one yet that somebody hasn't said, "Oh my God, that voice. Oh, I love that voice." And it's made me appreciate my voice a lot more from a time where I didn't. So that's been something they gave back to me.
That's awesome.
Mm.
You're speaking so much truth to, I think, a lot of people.
Yeah,
Because, like,
Mm.
oh, no,
No.
you go.
You go.
You go.
You go.
I also used to hate my voice. And I was going to say, like, something that was really eye-opening for me was people saying that they had come to my voice.
Mm.
And, like, I was like, wow, really? Get a room, you two? We're in a room. It's the studio.
There's a couch and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I just notice the tentacles on the back wall?
We're subtle here. We're very subtle.
Mm.
I feel like for me, wait, go ahead.
No, trust me, it's not. It wasn't that important.
Okay, I feel like for me, like I've always had, I don't want to say a hatred because that's too strong of a word, but I didn't like the sound of my voice. Because like when I was younger, people would tell me that I sounded weird. And as I got into streaming and VTubing, people have been complimenting my voice, saying how it's like seductive and soothing and very like motherly sounding. And once I started getting into my not safe for work audios and having to listen to my own moans as I edit, I noticed that I had a talent for it, considering other people have told me, "Oh yeah, I just busted a nut to your audios," and flustering myself with my own audios. So it just
really
made me
is.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, it really is quite the thing when someone tells you that they've come to your voice. Like,
Yeah.
if you didn't like your voice before, you will like it after that.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Chat, best compliment you can give any voice actor, any VTuber, any streamer. Just tell them you come to their voice. But wait. Actually, no. Hang on.
If they are in a lewd context.
If they're in the lewd
Yeah.
context, yes, in the appropriate platform. So not on Twitch.
Don't
either.
just roll up on Twitch chat where they're playing Stardew Valley and going like, "Oh, I just
come
beat
to
off
your
to your voice."
I
Welcome
realized
to the
immediately I was
ASMR
saying, like,
category.
wait a minute.
Oh my God. It's been really
Oh,
nice.
God.
Even now when I'm like talking, like my voice hurts right now talking because I have spent many, many years so accustomed to talking at this range to try and not have my very comfortable lower register. When I'm talking at this, I realize that my throat is hurting. Also, like as I'm on a talk show, so I'm like Piper Gremlin.
Upbeat, energy, smile.
Exactly. But when I talk in my lower register, people are like, "Oh, that's really sexy. Oh, that's a really sexy voice." I just came to that and I'll be like, "So this is my normal comfortable register." And people hear this and they're like, "Oh, mommy." And I'm like, "Yes." But, and that pays the bills on Twitch, but this is my lower comfortable register. So you can imagine a 12-year-old having this kind of voice, then it sounds.
Did you guys see that scandal on Twitter where there was a lewdtuber who was offering the girlfriend experience type thing, and people took her up on it, and she turned out to be 14?
No, I
No.
did not see that.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was very unpleasant. And she turned out to have had relations, not in real life, like virtual sex, with a couple of the VTubers involved as well, and
Still
she'd been
wrong.
lying about her age the entire time, and they very understandably felt like hideously violated, but also forced into a position where they were the violator because they are the adult in the situation. It was terrible.
That has made me crazy uncomfortable on Twitch streams before, and it doesn't happen often because if we suspect, also if just somebody's annoying, but if we suspect or if somebody says their age or if they're hinting or joking, we just we just get rid of them. Like we don't bother. But we've had people in the community previously who were minors, who we found out to be minors, and this is exactly why we don't allow them in our community. But somebody was in the community who was very interested in what that minor was doing and where they were, and we're just like, nope, get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
Just no, get rid of all of it. It was just big old nope. That seems to be so prevalent, and I hate it.
Mm.
I remember
And like
being...
oh, sorry.
I'll finish. Yeah, I just remember being
You
in
talk.
servers that were like, 16 plus, whatever it is, back before my loot keeping days, and then people were like, "Oh, well, what if we just like labeled the miners?" I'm like, "No,
No,
terrible
that's
idea.
Bad idea.
Terrible
Why
idea."
would you do that? Oh my god!
Like, oh god.
Just like, use a little bit of common sense here.
That's just non-spate. Come on.
That's like tying a red balloon to all the children. Stop it!
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, but I have openly like yelled at minors like over text, who have like reposted my raffles and been like, "Oh, I want NSFW art with you," or who have been in my BDSM femdom servers that are like, "Oh, because you can tell a lot of the time when someone is underage, and we get them to supply ID." And they were like, "Oh, I was born in, I don't know, whatever the year was." And I was like, "Oh, but this says you were born in 2003. And, it's not 17 years after 2003. It's 2020. And they're like, "Oh, sorry, that was last year's card." And I was like, "Yeah, but your birth date stays the same, doesn't it?"
We've
And they
not
were
messed
like,
around. Like, we ask for people's IDs sometimes. And if
"Yeah,"
they don't
and
give
she
it to us, we boot them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Yeah, actually, I'm 17." And I was like, "You have put every single adult on this server in danger by being here. Like, I understand that you are exploring and being interested in stuff like this, and it sucks that you are constrained, but you are being constrained for a reason, and you are unsafe to have in adult spaces."
100%. Like, I was in places I should not have been when I was under 18
Mm.
because that happens. They are, we were exploring and everything, but I also came in contact with adults that I should not have.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I am now an adult, and I look back and I'm like, wow, that was really bad.
Yeah, or
Bad.
just like looking back on the sex jokes I used to make as like a 15-year-old. And thinking, like, I made a sex joke to an adult and they were like, "Ah, ha, ha, ha." And like looking back on it now as an adult, I was like, "Oh my god, I would turn inside out from cringe if a 14-year-old made a joke about drinking through a straw with like a little plastic dick on it or whatever."
God.
Oh god.
Can we
yeah.
also talk about, like, this is important to talk about because, kids, and they're,
Mm.
no offense, but dumb. And
They are
Their
dumb.
brains haven't developed yet. It is what it is.
yeah, it just like they don't understand. They really, truly do not understand safety and what is at risk for them. But can we talk about the other side of this now? How uncomfortable it is to have your consent and boundary completely violated by someone who should know better. I wish they did, but that violation, that violated feeling you feel as well when they're in there and they're like, haha, and they just made a sex joke at you. And what if you responded and you didn't know? And then you're like, I feel gross now.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's just
you're forced
horrible
into
feeling.
a situation of being the abuser,
Yeah.
like against your own consent. It is very violating.
I have ended stream over that once before where I was so sick feeling I couldn't continue because I was just like, I was supposed to be in here ASMR and some person did this, and now it ruins the whole vibe.
Oh, totally. It makes everyone very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I've even had like situations where like 18 and 19-year-olds just make me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
You may be of age, but like you don't have the maturity to be here in my presence and like to talk to me in that way, or to make those jokes in my chat. And I've banned people over it because I'm like, no, like this is a community of more mature people, and you are acting like a child in here.
Well, there was that Emma Watson, Hermione from Harry Potter, for those who don't know her by name, like there was a countdown in a tabloid magazine called The Sun to her 18th birthday, and it was like
Ew, I remember
countdown
that.
until she's legal.
Ew.
Yeah.
And
Super
Ew.
that is absolutely hideous just on its face. But like, she spoke about how it was so weird because there's like it's like there's a difference of like one day where like it's illegal to post panty shots of her, and then it's legal the next day, and it's just an arbitrary like point in time. It had nothing to do with her maturity or her readiness to deal with being seen in that way very publicly, who, you know, by people who were already seeing her that way, because obviously that countdown wouldn't have existed unless people were like
Already sexualizing her.
yeah, and waiting for it to be okay to do so very, very openly. And that it was just a matter of a day, not a matter of maturity. And I think that speaks to what you're saying about the 18, 19-year-olds. Like, just because you're legally old enough doesn't mean you're mature enough.
Oh, absolutely.
My community has asked me before, like, because there's people who get in there and they'll try to be covert about things. But I've told them, because I've had the great misfortune, but also really informational experience of studying some of that behavior, of what's available through psychology. And one of the things I found out that I thought was really interesting is people who have that behavior of, predatorial behavior, they're prideful. They're very proud of it. They don't try to hide it. So if you ever have somebody who's very overt like that, people being like, "Oh, haha, this age I did it," or like, just very prideful of that behavior and their predatory behavior, that's a massive sign that they are one.
Yeah, because someone who their formative years is transgressing boundaries will then themselves continue to transgress boundaries as they get older. It's rare that they mature and like understand the way in which that hurts people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean adults is what I'm talking about. The adult.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the adults. The adults who are very prideful that they are predatory. Those are the people to be the most scared of. It's almost like looking at somebody in the face who is sociopathic. You get a very unsettling feeling. And so you can tell right away who those people are. And so they were always like, how do you always spot them? Sometimes it's hard. And I'm like, you will be able to tell.
It's always a vibe. It's always a vibe, and one day the vibe slips, and like they actually say something that's like out of pocket. That's like, oh, okay, you actually do think that way. Yeah,
it's very scary. You have to be very careful out here, which is why banning, boundaries, creating your space to keep it incredibly safe is so important.
Yeah, like at this point, I feel like we've banned almost all of the troll accounts on Twitch, so fortunately, we rarely have problems anymore.
We don't seem to have a lot of problems, and I've considered myself very lucky, and then the community sort of reminds me, they're like, you've taken a lot of precautions, and that's probably why.
Something about ASMR just like brings trolls out, I've noticed. Like, I've done it all of 2 times, and like the 2 times we had to ban like an account in the last like 4 months was during those 2 streams. Because otherwise, no one bothers me, but it's like something about ASMR. People just want to come in and ruin the vibe sometimes.
I think people are very viscerally embarrassed by ASMR. They see some behavior that is out of the ordinary and they feel embarrassed by it, and that is probably due to the very heavy underlying ableist culture that we have in countries, because people see stimming and they feel very embarrassed by it, and ASMR triggers. Creating those triggers is not that different from stimming, especially for neurodivergent people who are doing ASMR. I always joke that ASMR is just stimming for me.
I'm just gonna sit here and tap on my mic.
And I am completely happy.
So, chat, any final questions for our panelists. We usually keep the depths to about 2 hours because we know 2 hours is quite a bit of time to talk about these serious topics.
I have been trying to talk for like the last 15 minutes and been muted and wondered why everybody was talking over me. I am so sorry.
Oh no.
Oh
That's on me. I should have checked you for signs of life.
I know. But I was going to say, sometimes it really is hard to spot those kind of people because they're smart enough to be understated about it. But like,
Oh yeah.
there is also a tendency, I feel, as far as predators go, of people around them, once they have sunk the cost of like emotional or mental investment into them, to want to ignore the signs and explain them away because they don't want to confront the fact that they have bonded with or like become invested in someone who is like that. And I think that that's how a lot of enablement happens.
There's a lot of it I have found in some of the spaces I've occupied online as well. Like in just casual online spaces that I've occupied, kind of like a queer media fandom. So places like, you know, shipping and fanfic writing. And,
Oh boy.
and like, yeah, no, places like that, we really didn't have too much of it. You saw some, but like you really didn't see much of it. But when I got into mainstream anime spaces, there was a lot of it. Oh my god, so much of it. And then like again in streaming, I have seen quite a bit of it. So it's different each space, but there does seem to be higher concentrations in certain spaces, maybe where they can receive more resources of that nature potentially.
Definitely a certain kind of person gets like attracted to both watching and producing like live content and streaming, I've noticed. And if you have a certain predatory personality, you can potentially use some of those like parasocial feelings or like clout to like do some pretty terrible things, as you've seen many times.
Yeah.
And especially exploiting like skating on the line of lewdtuber without becoming a lewdtuber and accepting that you're doing lewdtubing, because you don't have to accept the responsibilities that go with it if you don't have the label. And yes, the broken stare, exactly. Like people exploit the sort of haha, you're in my harem, you're my husband, and like the sexual feelings of their often lonely and sometimes vulnerable audience to gratify themselves.
You're right. Faye does have good comments.
Faye is amazing. She is such a fucking gift to podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely like people who reject the lewdtubing label because they think it makes them better or like more safe, than do like just terrible things on the side, you know?
Yeah.
I feel proud to be lewd. Like I'm happy that I'm lewd. I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, a thriving artist or something. I feel like I get to be expressive and exploratory and create wonderful spaces and keep boundaries and enable people to have boundaries.
But you're accepting the responsibilities that come with the position. Whereas people who, I think a lot of people who tread that line or just do it but reject the label, do it because they want to appear safer than they are.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Lewd it up. Be as lewd as you want to be.
Yeah, no, I'm like
In
very
my
proudly
opinion.
like I'm a sex worker. I do sex work. SW. Like I need people to know that. Like
Astroglide.
Yeah.
I think there might be a misconception that somehow being say-so per se is like safer necessarily. And what creates safety in a community is, you know, the streamer and the community leaders enforcing rules and boundaries. It doesn't matter whether you're lewd or say-so or both. Like it's about creating that space actively.
You can call yourself comfy and cozy all you want, but if you, it doesn't mean you are, you know?
Yeah. And I
I see a lot of people label comfy cozy. I'm like, I think we're all comfy and cozy at this point, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
No, everyone feels very unsafe here. It's like a cult, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not running a cult.
Warm
At
and
all.
safe.
It's like, no, you might get knifed in this stream.
God. And enjoy it. You will thank me. And Nano, I was gonna say I'm gonna quote our therapist. You're applying rationale where rationale doesn't apply. I think it takes a rational, healthy person to, implement those boundaries. And it's not everybody's fault that they don't have them. Sometimes people need therapy, and that really helps to enable them create that strength for boundaries. But there's a lot of people who would very avidly take advantage of not having boundaries or people not having boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
that sucks. I don't like that
It
it's
does
common.
suck.
Absolutely. But yeah, this has
It's a
been
girlfriend
our
experience.
Thank you, Ari. This has been our
I'd like to have a girlfriend.
This has been our episode on the girlfriend experience. Just to wrap us up, I guess. I have a closing question, which is, let's say you are meeting someone who wants to get into doing the girlfriend experience, like content, audios, and such. What's one piece of advice you'd have for them that you wish you had when you started doing this?
Do you want me? Shoot, or somebody else?
I mean,
There will be other income.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to cut someone off if they are being creepy because you feel like you need followers or you need the income. There will
Right.
be more people.
Oh yeah.
Maintain your space.
Maintaining your space is so
Boundaries.
important, because if you feel unsafe, people around you feel unsafe too. In the chat, in the community, and such.
Ooh, I got one.
Yeah?
This just happened recently. There's gonna be people in your life that don't like that you do sex work. But don't be afraid to cut them off, because if you enjoy doing what you're doing and you're getting money for it, you're gonna find people that support you for everything that you do and not judge you for it.
That's
Yeah,
a
keep your
beautiful sentiment.
peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Keep your peace. I definitely have family members who I don't really want to have that conversation. So that's why I don't show my face. But keep your peace, create your boundaries. Transparency is really wonderful for boundaries as well. It's why I constantly I sound like a broken record. Erotic fantasy. Fantasy fiction. Erotic fantasy. Try to reiterate that again and again so they know I'm not coming on to you. I am creating this fantasy, and if you would like to participate in said fantasy, here is my site. But also for this kind of content, I would say choose something you are really interested in doing. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't do something you saw somebody else do and you think this is how you have to do it. There is no one way to do content. You can do whatever it is that brings you the most joy, because that's going to draw people to you in your space, and that community will become what you love if it is what you love to do. That's why I do like space stuff, because I'm like, yes, stars, pretty.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to give pretty much the same advice as Ari, but I will offer
Darn.
another gem of wisdom about content creation, although it's sort of more general than girlfriend roleplay audios in particular. But, for that, definitely find ones where you feel like you can really play that character. It is a bit of acting. And remember that every piece of content is an experiment, both for you and for your viewers, finding what works, what doesn't. And it's okay if experiments fail. I know it sucks. I've definitely been in the position where my numbers are dropping and it feels bad, but you have to keep going and create what you love. And yeah, just remember everything's an experiment. You can always learn from it and improve. I think that as a content creator, it's always about improving a little bit every time you make a new post.
Super important. I want to slap every single VTuber with a post-it note on their forehead that says, your self-worth is not tied to your content. Because every single tweet I see that says, I feel so bad about myself, I feel like such a fit, all these people who feel so terrible about themselves because something in their, it is a numbers game. These are algorithms, these are computers, these are platforms. They are not tied to your self-worth. Do not let them be, because your self-worth is more important than any of this will ever be.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Atra? I'm interested in what you would give, what advice you would give.
For people making girlfriend audios?
Well, in general, but yeah. What about when you give people the girlfriend experience? What do you think? When
Well,
you're Atramina.
Well, as a male wife to many streamers and a very well, I mean, like, joking aside,
Yeah.
I would say, like, I do want to reiterate, like, vibe check bans are a thing. Like, don't let people transgress your boundaries and, like, engage in, like, some kind of transactional like, oh, I gave you this and you owe me that, because people are predatory and they will look to prey on people who do sex work, especially when you're new to the space. You know, it's tough. You know, it's not for everyone, but I really hope that everyone stays safe when they do this content. Like, because I do get people asking me all the time, well, how do I set up a fansly? How do I do this? And, like, I'm always, like, in the back of my head, like, you should give them the speech. Just give them the speech before you tell them how to stream on here.
And also reach out to other people.
Oh yeah.
Don't go through your issues alone. Like, if you are going through something, especially as a sex worker, there will be others who have gone through exactly the same thing. Talk to other people and, like, ask questions, get advice. You're not in this alone.
There's so many sex workers that are siloed and, like, kind of on their own, and they don't need to be. Yeah. That's what that's, I guess, what the closing thought on my part is. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. There's something with my CPU I need to work on to, like, prevent all that, like, weirdness from happening again. But thank you everyone for putting up with it and for giving us a great discussion on the girlfriend experience. Clearly, everyone here is extremely talented and has quite a ways more to go, in my opinion. And it's been a joy talking to all of you. We will do some plugs. So I'll start with plugging Minxxie, who had to drop out a little bit early. Minxxie is an OnlyFans creator. Check her out on OnlyFans and on Twitch. She's an FPS gamer, primarily Valo, Apex, and such. And then she does the GFE roleplay and such on OnlyFans, I believe it was. So definitely give Minxxie a look. And next up we have Aerie.
Oh, should I plug something? I'm sorry. Well, I have you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Fansly, Patreon, all those places. Nano and I are making lots of content. I do have a debut at the end of January of my brand new model that I've been waiting for. I'm so excited. I'm gonna scream. We have that at the end of January, followed by probably several other things like my partner anniversary and then my stream anniversary. I'll have been streaming for 2 years in March.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was a PNG baby for like 8 months. My first 8 months, I was a little glorified PNG.
Aww.
The good old days. So it's gonna be an exciting year. I'm hoping for a lot in 2024, and I really want to lean into your gentle, soft moo me.
Thank you so much, Aerie. Your enthusiasm for being on here is refreshing, and you gave us so many good, like, little tidbits and experience, and I really did appreciate it.
Sweet,
I'm
glad.
Back on here. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy. I'm like, I'm gonna be spamming y'all's DMs later, being like, friend.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
we're keeping the group chat going. All of the group chats for the episodes are still going, so we'll hang out.
Absolutely.
Good.
Mm.
Nyano, you're up next.
Yeah, so you can primarily find me on Twitch, YouTube. We have two YouTube channels. I have mine, and then me and Ari have our joint ASMR Girlfriends channel for roleplay audios. We also do more roleplay audios on Patreon. And of course, we have spicy blue Twitch content as well, if that's your thing. And
And
yeah,
we'll
I
do
think
sound effects, ASMR Girlfriend sound effects on Gumroad, probably starting closer to the New Year / Christmas for anybody who wants to use our sounds for animations or what have you projects.
Oh my god, yes,
Hmm.
please.
Interesting.
Do you guys have like a binaural microphone and then like each of you lick a different ear?
Yeah, that's
we
what
have
we
done
do.
that. Yes, we
That's
actually
so
each
cool.
have we each have our own binaural microphones, so we can really get some interesting effects going. We started out with just one, and then my community graciously gifted me my own, so now we have two mics for double the fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hearing in 4K.
Thank you very much, Nano. And something that Nano did not mention, Nano also makes widgets for streamers.
Oh yeah.
Including I haven't seen this before either, a widget for Fansly Chat, which I intend to be using myself very soon. Very, very talented. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much for that, by the way.
Smart.
Very smart. Yes. And Minnie.
Okay, I stream on Twitch and I do my audios on Fansly. I intend on streaming on Fansly very soon. And I'm thinking about doing an ASMR YouTube channel along with my VTuber channel that I do reactions and gameplay videos on.
Very cool. Minnie, best of luck with your channels as you explore fancy content, lewd content. I think you're doing really well. I've seen what you're posting, and I think it's very creative and innovative, and you're clearly working very hard on it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And last but not least, Lady Mystique.
Hey everyone! You can find all of my links at ladymystique.tv. I am on Twitter, Twitch, and Fansly. Sometimes I post TikToks, it's not very often, but you can follow me there as well if you really want to. And it's really been a pleasure being here and chatting with you guys. And Atra, I am so proud of how far this podcast has come from where you started, which was just playing Power Wash Simulator with like me and Renry and I think Bagel, just talking about some stuff, to where we are now. Like, it's awesome, and you have done an incredible job.
Thank you, Mystique.
It's amazing.
Been one hell of a year. Yeah, thank you all so much. Yeah, this podcast started in January. We're up to 19 episodes now. So
You're
we've had
doing
some-
good.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
And your scripts too, which we're like scripts. Atramentum scripts.
And Mystique, thank you again so much for joining me as the co-host for this. I couldn't do it without you. We've done so many episodes together, and I really, really appreciate the insight you bring to these episodes. So chat, I've been Atramentum_X, Rise streamer and lewdtuber. Please like and subscribe and follow us on YouTube. We will be back on January 5th with a very special episode, which I'll be showing you in a moment. Actually, yeah, so Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the new year. Here is our
See you
teaser
guys.
for the
Merry
next
Christmas.
episode.
Bye. Happy
holidays.
Yule. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy
Holidays.
holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.